good afternoon. My name is Kevin Mundy Jr., and I will be talking about Java today. So before we get into Java, let's talk about what is a programming language. A programming language allows people to create programs to tell machines what to do. Now, when dealing with programming languages, there are different levels. There are high-level programming languages which are used in companies and tech companies, and they're used to create systems. So the things you use on like your iPhone, your computer, the programming behind that is what would be considered high level. Then you have low-level programming, which provides little or no abstraction from computers' instruction set architecture. So basically, everything's really built in for you. Now, the programming language we'll be talking about today is a programming language called Java. It's a general purpose programming language which is class-based, which means you have to make different classes within the programming language to execute the program you want to run. It's object oriented, so you have to define objects within the program to get the functionality that you want. It was released in 1995, and most of the program itself was very similar to C++. Now, what is Java used for? A lot of companies use Java for mobile applications, desktop applications like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, things of that nature, web applications, web servers and application servers, some games, and then for databases as well. Now, installing Java, there's many available text editors you can use to download Java. For today, I'm going to be using this text editor called JGraphs. And to install JGraphs, you just simply go to this website, www.jgraphs.org, and then there will be a download button in the top right corner, and you just click download, and it's as easy as that. Now, when getting into Java, there's a couple steps before you even get to the programming, to the really programming part of Java. The first part of it is you must create a class. A class is an extensible programming code template for creating objects, and it also provides initial values for state and implementations of behavior. And what that means is you have like three ways you can define a class: public, private, and protected. Public means it's easily accessible through other classes. Private means it's only available for that specific class, and the protected means it's just a more secure class. And the way we would define a class is you would say what kind of class you want, which is public, as you can see right here, class, because we're creating a class, and then the name of your class. It is important that when you're using Java, the name you define your class as has to be the title as well. And you will see that later in the demo. And then next is we have to create a main method. A main method is where your code is going to be executed. So whatever you program in that main method is what the program is going to execute when it comes back to you. And so in order to create the main method, you have this simple line below: public static void main parentheses string brackets args parentheses and then an opening bracket. What the static means is relevant to all the instances of a class rather than any specific instance. So whatever in that class is what is going to be in that class. And then void just to describe the main method that it doesn't return any values back to the caller. And then also as we go into Java a little bit more, the brackets in Java will really, whatever in those brackets is the code, and whatever is in those brackets is what will be ran in your program. And when dealing with Java, here's some simple syntax that you can create basic programs with. So in order to create a print statement, the line would be system.out.print. And you would do open brackets, and then and within those quotation marks, you type in whatever statement you want. And so in this example, I have hello world. Now the ln is really special because each time you do a system.out print line, it prints on different lines. Now, if you want something to print on the same line, you would just simply take the ln off, and it will print on the same line. Creating a comment. Comments are very important when you're doing programming languages, because when you're a programmer, other people are using your code as well, and they're looking off your code. So comments allow other programmers to understand what's going on in this section. And then when we go to another section of code, what's going on. And then some simple variables that will help make programming a lot easier. A string is a word or a mix of words and numbers together. So the easiest way to define a string is you say, you type in string, and then you give it a name, like you give it a variable type. So I decided my variable to be name, and you define what you want name to be. And so string name equals quotation marks Kevin. For integer is just typing in numbers, and the way you define that is similar to how you do a string. You type in integer, and then you have to define the variable name. And so I defined in mine as my num equals 15, my num, and then you set the variable equal to 15. Then you have characters, which is defined by char, and those are just letters like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so on. And the way you define that is char, the variable name, my letter, and you set it equal to a character. And I set this equal to D as my example. And then another variable type is a Boolean, which simply means just true or false. And the way you define that is Boolean, and then I just describe my variable as my bool, and then I set it equal to true. Now I will show a quick demo on how to run a simple Java program. So as you can see, I have a class already set up. As you can see, I have this class defined as public class test1. Notice how the file is test1.java. If I were to change this name to test1, the program would not run efficiently because the program does not recognize the class name. And then, as you can see, I have my main method here as well, the public static void, main, parentheses string, or args. And so now we're going to create a simple program. So let's start off with a simple print statement. So let's say we want to say what my name is. So we would do system.out.print, ln, quotation marks, and my name is Kevin. When programming in Java, it is very important that you use this semicolon, because it allows the program to read it. So another important part of Java is compiling. What compiling does is make sure you don't have any errors. And if you do have any errors, the message will show up at the bottom right here. So when I click this plus button, it's going to compile. And then we just wait, and then the operation is complete. So that means my program is ready to run. Then I click this run button to make sure the program runs. And then as you can see, we told the program to say what my name is, and then my name came out. Another example is, let's set a variable, let's do a string. So like I said, we have to type in what we want. We want it to be a string. Let's give it a name. Let's just say test1. And then we want to set it equal to my last name. After that is done, we want to check to see if it compiles. It works. Now, how do we get this to print out like we did this one? The thing is, it's very simple. We want to first create another print statement, system.out.print ln, and then, but instead of doing the quotation marks like I did with the first statement, all we want to type in is the variable name I set my string to, just test1, semicolon, and then click run, just to make sure everything works the same way. The operation is complete, so let's test it. And then there you go. You see, the first name is Kevin, which was still right here. And then my last name that I defined in the string printed out as well. And then let me show you an example of using comments as well. So this just states that if somebody were else to look at my code, I'm just going to write simple test. And so when people are looking at my code and I write simple test, they understand that, oh, he's running a simple test. And you've just created your first simple program. If you want to learn more information about Java, I recommend going to Code Academy, and they have more in-depth lessons. But if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day.